Steel, like concrete, is an absolutely essential part of our lives. Even when a product isn't made of steel, you can bet steel was involved in designing, producing, and distributing it. Just as bronze and iron defined previous ages of man, so steel defines ours. We rely on it so heavily, but few of us know what it is and how it's made. So how do you make the product that the world can't do without? How do they do it? In fact, there is no natural metal called steel. To make it takes a kind of modern-day alchemy. And it all starts with iron. Iron is the basic ingredient of steel, and it's found in rock. Rock that is rich in iron ore is mined all over the world. It's ground down and shipped to steelworks. And in the English town of Scunthorpe, it takes 4 queens of England to turn it into steel. Introducing Anne, Mary, Bess, and Victoria. These are the 4 furnaces of the Chorus Steelworks. And here, pulverized rock begins a journey of transformation. Iron ore is basically iron oxide, or iron chemically bonded to oxygen. The problem is, to make steel, you need to get rid of the oxygen and separate the iron from the rock. To do this, you need to melt the rock. The iron ore is hauled up to the top of the furnace in containers the size of garbage trucks and then dropped into the furnace. Then a huge amount of hot air is blasted up through the iron ore, and this is where a blast furnace gets its name. The rock is melted at a temperature of 2000 degrees centigrade. No longer iron ore, now it's molten iron. From here, the iron is poured into a train. No ordinary train, of course. This is called a torpedo. It's specially insulated to carry the 1500 centigrade molten iron. Every day, 10,000 tons of molten iron are moved to the part of the plant that will turn it into steel. The molten iron is poured into a huge drum which can hold 350 tons of iron in one go. It looks like liquid fire, but in only 30 minutes this molten iron will be turned into steel, and it takes just 3 steps. Step 1. Add scrap metal. An odd thing to do, you might think, but the scrap helps to control the temperature. Step 2. Pour the iron on top and mix in a secret ingredient. Lime. Sounds like a cocktail. It's going to be more like a volcano. Step 3. Add oxygen. We didn't want it before, we do want it now. Funny business, chemistry. The next step is to remove impurities, like carbon. To do this, an oxygen lance is lowered above the molten mixture. It blows in high-purity oxygen at twice the speed of sound. This turns the carbon into a gas and the iron into steel. As the top of the vessel opens up, we see floating on the surface all the other waste products called slag, drawn out by the lime. Now we have high-quality steel bubbling beneath the surface. Next, the liquid is tapped from the bottom of the vessel, and we see steel for the first time. But how do you turn the steel into something useful? Rail tracks need long, thin steel. Pianos and suspension bridges need strong, thin wire. Cars and washing machines need sheets of steel. The hot steel goes through a process of water cooling as it's drawn through cooled rollers and water sprays. Then the hot steel is cut to length by automatic gas burners. Even after it stops glowing red hot, it still takes several hours to cool down. And then it's ready for anything and everything. Steel has the weight of the world on its shoulders.